Hi, it's Jane with Scraptastic Yarns Podcast. I have a kitten. Not kidding. Several of the podcasters that I watched this week have just been killing me with their new acquisitions. Kitties and puppies, and I'm so jealous I want one. It's okay though, I'll get over it. I have my little kitty friend there. I have to tell you the story about that. I got that at Dollar Tree. And we were kidding. I've been teasing my husband about I want a kitty. And when I got that little kitty, I came home and he sat down next to me in his recliner. And I had it down in my chair and I just pressed it a couple times. He goes, "What's that?" I said, "Sounds like a kitten. There must be a cat in here. Do you think a cat followed me home?" He goes, "Better not have followed you home." It is a joke between us because he's not ready for a new pet. Granted, our little Caitlin passed away about 3 years ago. We've not gotten a new kitten or cat since. I'm jonesing for a cat because I've never had any time in my life that I have not had pets. And this is the first time I've not had pets. So I keep seeing all those cute kittens on you guys' podcast. Cut it out. All right, I'm done. The other thing is when we go to North Carolina to visit his family, we pass through Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, and they have a cat cafe where you can come in and meet the cats and adopt. So on our way home this last time, we're going through Berkeley Springs. I'm driving. My husband's sleeping. And just outside of Berkeley Springs, there's a silica plant, which they make sand. He wakes up and I said, "Oh, I just wanted you to know I stopped at the cat cafe and we have 4 cats in the back." Husband's head swung around. He looks at me and goes, "No, that's not nice." So, like I said, I've been chosen for kitties. So I have to go get my fix wherever I can get my little kitten fix or cat fix or dog fix. Luckily, students around here have dogs. They walk them. They all get to know me, so I get to pet and play with their pups as, they're trying to walk them or get them to go potty. And here's Jane messing with them. So, yeah. Today is September the 11th. Of this month. Yeah, September the 11th. It's going by pretty fast, isn't it? I wanted to show you I have a couple of finished items. And one of these is the scarf that I had planned on making with the Create series. And I'm just going to show you this finished project. It has not been blocked. But I'll do that more when we get to that series. I wanted to explain a little bit more about how that's going to work. Basically what it is we're going to take some of our stitch books, and if you're like me, you've probably got, at least 5 or 6. Now I have a lot more than that. However, the one thing with crochet that I find which is a little bit different than knitting books. Many times knitting books, you can get the information on what kind of increases you need to make shawls, raglan items, those kind of things. Crochet is a little different, and I think that's because many times people tend to create an item and it's easier to build it as you go In other words, I know basically from here down it's going to be square. When I get up here, I need to do some decreases. It's a little bit easier to manage when you're making shapes. So I think that's why crochet doesn't always have that information readily available in books. Maybe I just don't have the right crochet books. But part of that series is we're going to take these crochet stitches. We're going to figure out how to create something with those stitches. The easiest thing, like I determined to start with, would be a scarf, or it could even be a dishcloth, whatever you choose to do. I'm going to show you how I created this item. Hopefully it will help give you some ideas on how to create your own items. The only thing different is I've already written the pattern for this, so I am going to include that down in the show notes, as well as put it up on Ravelry as a PDF to be downloaded free. I did talk with the lawyer about those things, and crochet stitches are not copyrighted. However, when you get a book, and I'm going to use this as an example, this is one of my favorite books when I was learning to crochet, and I was learning about some different things on how to interpret patterns, because I didn't always read patterns. And it also gives some ideas on increases, decreases, those kind of things, and how to fix your mistakes. But this is a standard book for crochet, but in this book she also includes different stitches. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm just going to kind of quickly show you some of the pictures of some of those stitches, because a lot of them are done in black and white. Like she's got a stitch here. And you notice I'd only flashed that for a moment because we're using it as a fair use item for teaching, periodly. She gives you the photo. The photo is her copyrighted. This is hers and the publisher's property. So I cannot give that out to you. I cannot sell it to you. Cannot do anything else. Now, I have broken the rules by showing you that. However, there is something called fair use, and that's what we're using this as, fair use for teaching. Technically, I need to contact the people to see if I can use this to teach you, but I'm just going to flash that up that one time. In this, she has a pattern stitch. She has the directions on how to do that pattern stitch written out. This is her copyrighted pattern. She owns the rights to it. So I cannot give you a tutorial on how to do this. I cannot write that out solely by itself. However, every stitch in that is something that is not copyrightable. So basically it's your set of writing rules. When you've written out that paragraph, that's yours. That's your copyright. Now, as crocheters, we all know many stitches. If you do not know a lot of stitches, a good place to go learn is the Yarn Council. They have some downloadable things for abbreviations, charts, those kind of things that you can use as a basis. About.com used to have a lot of those. I haven't been there in years, so I don't know if they still have a lot of information about those things. They probably still do, but they're just not as well known anymore because of the day that we're in, with this technological age. We've kind of outgrown them a little bit. You'll see a lot of people will do a tutorial on how to do a certain pattern. They may or may not have permission from the pattern designer. They really should get permission from the pattern designer to do that tutorial. And that's where you get into trouble, is when you don't get those permissions as needed to use that item. The book that I have asked to use one of the patterns, I have contacted the publisher and also the person who wrote the book. The person who wrote the book has given me permission, with the exception of if the publisher does not agree to it, then I cannot use that stitch to teach you how to create a pattern with that one stitch. That's okay, because my pattern that I've written out, and I did this based on stitches that I knew. But I had looked at a pattern and had determined I like the way these certain stitches fall. I want to see if I can create something that'll look somewhat like that. And that is where my creativity comes in. I can look at something and say, you know, that would really look neat if we could turn that into like a dress skirt or a shirt. Here is something I want all of you to do with those books you've got. I showed you the complete book over here, and it's over here the other day. A lot of you have sent me messages that yes, you have that book, you want to learn how to use it because you want to create this, that, or that. I cannot directly teach you how to do those, but I can give you some ideas on how to figure out how to create your own design, your own pattern, and the item that you would like to design. Now that you have that book, I'd like you to actually read some of the book, whether you read just the outside of the book, look at the back of the book. Let me see if I can get the book. There is a line in this book that basically says, with these stitch designs, this person hopes that you'll be able to develop your own style and create beautiful items on any project. Embark on those items. When I sat down and started looking at these books, and I've been doing that for a couple of days now, looking at some of my different books, especially those with stitch patterns, what I noticed is they all made a mention of they wanted to be able to, for you to use these in your skill set to create a project. If they didn't expect us to be able to take that pattern, put it into something that we want to create, what is the point of the book? That's all I'm saying. So you can use stitches you already know. You can create something that looks close to it in your own handwriting, in your own word set. And basically, when you're making a pattern, you're changing that up so much. Because of the stitches that we use and those kind of things, you are creating your own pattern. So, this is the homework for the beginning of the Create series. I want you to look at some of the patterns you have at home. I have a lot of, because I do prayer shawl, I have a lot of scarf patterns. And many of those are free. I have a lot of purchased as well. I want you to look at those patterns, get an idea of how they word them, what kind of way that they're put in to a system that they use. I want you to also think about how they used increases to make their design. Are they quick increases? Are they slow increases? And basically just give that a look-see. If you've got an idea that you want to use a certain stitch in, say, let's say a shawl. If you're going to crochet that shawl, you need to determine the shape of your shawl and how many increases you need to get that shape and to keep that shape. I'll explain more when that first episode comes up. But this is just some homework to start looking at it, getting an idea of how you want to do this, what you're wanting to create. Look and kind of analyze the patterns. See what and how those patterns are written. If you can detect that there was a way that it was written so that it was easier to read, to understand, and to follow directions. I do know that there are some of you who watch my podcast who've also told me you do not read patterns because you are a visual learner. And I understand that. However, you already have a basic skill set, even by watching someone who's given you a tutorial on how to do a double crochet stitch. If you know a single and a double, you've got a lot of stitch combinations right there. If you can do front post, back post, you've got even more stitch possibilities that open up to you. So just kind of start thinking about those kind of things if you're going to follow that part of the series. Now, on to the rest of the regular podcast. Besides the scarf, and I do have a shawl written from that same pattern, do have some more baby hats that I've created, for the babies at the hospital. And I had started knitting this one, pumpkin hat, and you make a stem and you make the little leaves that go off of it. This pattern, believe it or not, is supposed to curl. This did not curl. I think that is because of the density of this yarn, and this is at the Crafter's Secret. So at my crochet group, we were teasing about that's the secret that they have. It doesn't curl. So I'm not real sure why that didn't do that. I've done this same pattern with other yarns. They curled up perfectly. So, who knows? That's it for finished items. Everything else has been turned in to the prayer shawl group, which met last Wednesday. So I don't have anything else. I had a lot of acquisitions. I was a bad girl. And this is what happened. I took probably about a 13-gallon garbage bag full of baby yarns of 2 Scraps and Skeins in State College, and that is my reuse, repurpose store. But in the car, I had this bag with another bag the same size inside of it, because I had been carrying a lot of items, making those mats. I've been carrying a lot of bags and those kind of things, and that with the handles makes it a little easier to bring into the house to start cutting and roll into balls. I hadn't planned on buying a thing. I was just going to drop off that yarn. Well, I know that they had those freebie bins, so I knew that I would, scavenge into those things. When I handed the items to Dottie, the manager, this is one time they've changed the way that you donate. They ask if you want a donation receipt. I never do. I said, no, that's fine. So this time they want your name, full name. Now she knows me, but she had to ask it because there were other people and there were some new kids in there learning how to do things. So I knew that's why she was doing that. Gave her my name, and I happened to look just past Dottie. There were 4 tote bins, clear tote bins of yarn. They were 25 cents a piece. I shopped. I filled 1.5 bags with 25-cent items. Like this. 25 cents a piece. Each one of these will make a hat, probably 3 hats. You know, when I look at something, I look at it and figure how many things can I get out of it. They had a lot of woolies. 25 cents. So I got about 10 of these. And they did have little snippets of things like this that were a mess. 25 cents a piece. And that. And I thought, well, that goes with that. That should make a shawl. 25 cents. 75 cents and I've got a shawl. One of the things that we never have enough of are men colors. A lot of tans, browns. I got half a bag of that bag, and that's one of those AC Moore big bags. They're big. They're about like this and about big, tall. Half a bag of black. And another bag full of tans, browns, sandy colors, a couple of dark greens. Now, one of the things that they do there is when you bring your own bags, they give you $1 off. So I got $1 off. I think I spent about $5 total. But by the time I got all my bags taken off, it was $3.25. I got quite a bit. Then as I'm walking out, I see the bins. The free ones. There were 4 of them. They had full skeins of orange yarn. We're making pumpkin hats for the babies. You think I'm going to pass up free? No. So I started digging for the free. Got some pretty blues. Got some more whites. Some more. I got 5 skeins, full skeins of orange. And these are the old 8-ounce to 10-ounce skeins. So it's a lot of yarn. And of course, while I was there, the lady that was sitting there, she was asking me about getting needles because she wanted to learn how to crochet. Her church has just started up, not crochet, hooks, needles, knitting needles, so she wanted to learn to knit. Well, they have a lot of books there too. I told her, well, you know, if you're going to just learn to knit, I would use bulky yarns. And I showed her some of the bulky yarns they had in those bins. I'd take these because they're free. It's great to learn on. And there were some needles stuck in there, and she said, what about the size needles? So I told her what I always start people off with is a size 11 needle or a size 13 needle with bulky yarn so that they can start to learn those stitches. And they can actually see their stitches easier. It's easier to teach someone how to count stitches I have a lady that came to me to ask me to help her with this baby sweater she was knitting. She's been knitting for years and years, like 60 years. Had no idea how to count rows. So I taught her how to count rows. And it's a pretty simple process, but, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to count those rows. Now they have books down there, and I told her, you need to look through these books and see if there's any beginner knitting books and take them. Because, then you have a reference to read, to look at, to help you out with that knitting. Of course, told her about YouTube, lots of videos on how to learn how to knit, whatever you want to do. And she was really grateful. She helped me find all the skeins of orange and some blues, some greens, some whites. She helped me find those, put them in my bag. So I left with 2 full bags of yarn. Do I need yarn? Come on, folks. We all know that I'm a yarn addict. I didn't need any yarn. So now I've got all this yarn around here that I need to wash. So I had to go buy some more lingerie bags to be able to wash them. It'll be a full load of just yarn that'll be washed. And that's fine. I just thought it was rather interesting. You go in when you least expect it, and they hook you. I mean, I can't pass up 25-cent a skein, even if they're partial skeins. I mean, that's a pretty good size skein there of yarn. So, and these Lion brand, they're regular full skeins that I got. So, of the woolies. So, I was a bad girl. I've been watching some newer podcasts. I'm going to list those below. Hang on a second. I've got to go answer the door. Hi, I'm back. Sorry about that. Also had a couple ambulances, fire truck go by. So I had to take a few minutes break there. It's kind of hairy around here somewhere. The only thing I wanted to tell you is one of the new podcasts that I've seen is Carrie of Happycraftyhomemaker. And I mentioned that because, I just told you about all that yarn, that I bought. Don't really need. She has something that she is calling the 25-pound down challenge, as well as stash down challenge she is working from. And so I thought, well, I probably need to do something like that. Now that I've brought in another 25 pounds. I'm telling you, it's bad. I have it bad, people, bad. I'm an addict. Oh, man. Anyway, she has this 25-pound challenge that she has been working on doing. So I thought it might be interesting. Margaret Olander is kind of doing the same thing, weighing to see how much pounds go out of her house, for different charities and everything. I thought there might be something good to do. Do we know that I'm going to fail at it? Probably. Doesn't mean I'm not going to try it. So I'm going to try it. Okay. That is it for today's podcast. So I will let you go, and I will see you again later on this week. The Create series, I am working on the format of how I want that to be presented, and I also want to be able to give you some items to use. So, yeah, I'm doing a little more research, getting that down, writing down the way I want that to go. We'll build things as we go. But like I said, your challenge this week is to look through some of your books and read them. See, does your book explain how to create a garment, how you would, create something to use the way that you want it to? Does it tell you how to do the math to figure out how you're going to do something? I mean, most books will tell you about gauge and those kind of things, but look through your books and see if what kind of information is available to you in those books. And we'll get started probably this Thursday is when that first episode will go up. I do have part of it already filmed. There's another part that I would like to film. And so, yeah, I will see you again this Thursday. Remember, choose to be kind. Another side note. I'm going to preface this by saying I have been teasing in my crochet group that I have a spider that is knitting me a curtain. That is what this video that's coming up and the ending is going to show you. Now, our windows are not the type that you can open up and clean. We do not have any spigots to wash down the outside. We'd have to take a broom, whatever, a bucket to clean the windows on the outside. So normally we don't even wash the windows on the outside because the rain does a good job of it. And apparently now we're going to have rain for the next 90 days here in Pennsylvania. No, it's not 90 days. But we're having a lot of rain. Today we're under one of those flood watch. Supposedly we're supposed to get, the river is supposed to rise 22 inches by night, fall, something crazy. So, and normally that would wash away these spider webs, But this year we had been talking about it at the fire hall. Spiders seem to be exceptionally busy this year, and an awful lot of them. Every time we turn around, there's a spider web somewhere. So, I just thought I'd film that window for you because I really think that I have a spider that's decided to knit me a window curtain for my kitchen. So, enjoy. Bye. I thought I would show you what I have in my window. That is a spider web. And spiders have been going crazy this year around here. So I think my spider is creating a curtain. I think they've learned to knit.